Hello students, how are you all? This is Anup sir, your English teacher from Devashya International Public School. Today we'll understand the lesson number 2, that is the tsunami.
So students, let's begin with the lesson. As I told you earlier, this lesson is about the incident of tsunami that occurred in the parts of India, that is the south of India and Andaman and Nicobar. Andaman and Nicobar Islands are situated at the west of India. So when this tsunami occurred, it destroyed many things of Tamil Nadu and many parts of Andaman and Nicobar. This tsunami occurred on the date 26 December 2004. A tsunami is a very large and powerful wave caused by earthquake under the sea. On 26 December 2004, a tsunami hit Thailand and parts of India, such as the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and the Tamil Nadu coast. Here are some stories of courage and survival. Did animals sense that a tsunami was coming? Some stories suggest that they did. So, students, tsunami is a very huge and strong wave which is caused due to earthquake in the inner part of large water bodies, that is the sea, or the landslides. So, in this process, once the water is attracted towards the center of this water body, and after that, it is forced towards the land coast, in which whatever comes in the way of these tsunami waves is destroyed. Once tsunami occurred in India, that is the southern part of India, on 26 December 2004, in which it affected the southern part of India, that is Tamil Nadu and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this lesson gives us the story of these parts of India in which people were affected by these tsunami waves. And here there is a question for you. Do animals sense that tsunami is going to come? In this lesson there are some incidents, some stories that says that yes, animals sense that tsunami is going to come, and they try to protect themselves from these tsunami waves, and they go to the higher part of the land surface. So let's begin with the first part of this lesson. These stories are all from the Andaman and Nicobar archipelago. So the stories in the first part of this lesson is from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Ignatius was the manager of cooperative society in Kachhal. His wife woke him up at 6 a.m. because she felt an earthquake. Ignatius carefully took his television set off his table and put it down on the ground so that it would not fall and break. Then the family rushed out of the house. So, this part of the lesson is about Ignatius and his family. In the morning at 6 a.m., when Ignatius' wife felt that the earth was shaking due to earthquake, she woke up Ignatius and told that there was an earthquake. Now, the first thing when Ignatius did was he took the television set from the table and he kept it on the floor so that it does not fall and break. After that, the whole family ran out of the house so that the house does not fall on them due to the earthquake. When the tremors stopped, they saw the sea rising. In this chaos and confusion, two of his children caught hold of the hands of their mother's father and mother's brother and rushed in the opposite direction. He never saw them again. His wife was also swept away. Only the three other children who came with him were saved. Ignatius' whole family ran out of the house to save themselves. And once the tremors, that means the shaking of the earth due to the earthquake, was stopped, they saw that the waves of the sea were rising at a very high level and it was forced towards the village. When the people of the village saw the high waves coming towards them, they were full of confusion. They started running here and there to protect themselves. In this confusion, Ignatius' one child caught hand of his nana and the other child caught hand of his mama and ran towards the opposite direction from the wave was coming to save themselves. And after that, Ignatius never saw these two children. Ignatius' wife was also swept away in these tsunami waves. She was never seen again. Only the three children who went with Ignatius to save themselves were saved. Rest all were dead. Sanjeev was a policeman serving in the Kachal island of the Nicobar group of islands. He somehow managed to save himself, his wife, and his baby daughter from the waves. But then he heard cries for help from the wife of John, the guest house cook. Sanjeev jumped into the water to rescue her, but they both were swept away. Now, this is the another incident from the Kachal Islands. There was a policeman named Sanjeev. He somehow managed to rescue himself and his wife and his little daughter from the tsunami waves. But when they were managing to go towards the secure, safe place to save themselves, they heard a cry of a woman for help. This woman was the wife of the cook who used to work for Sanjeev. Now, Sanjeev tried to run and jump into the waves to save this wife of John. But Sanjeev and John's wife both lost their life in these tsunami waves. 13 years old Meghna was swept away along with his parents and 77 other people. She spent 2 days floating in the sea, holding on to a wooden door. 11 times she saw a relief helicopter overhead, but they did not see her. She was brought to the shore by a wave, and she was found walking on the seashore in a daze. Now, there was a little girl who was 13 years old named Meghna. She was swept in this tsunami waves with her parents and 77 other villagers. She was floating in the sea holding a wooden door. Now, there was a wooden door which was broken from some house and which was floating on the sea. She was holding that door to save herself from drowning into the sea. She saw the relief helicopter flying over her head, but that helicopter people did not see her. Now, these relief helicopters are those helicopters which are sent to save people from the natural calamities. But those people did not see Meghna. She somehow was floating on this sea and she reached the coast. Meghna was so shocked from this disaster that she was unable to think or react on anything. After that, people from that coast rescued Meghna. Almaz Javed was 10 years old. She was a student of Carmel Convent in Port Blair, where her father had a petrol pump. Her mother, Rahila's home, was in the non Covre island. The family had gone there to celebrate Christmas. There was a very little girl of 10 years of age. Her name was Alma Javed. Now, she used to study in Carmel Convent in Port Blair. Her mother, Rahila's house was in non Corvey Island. Now, they all went to this island to celebrate Christmas when the tsunami struck southern India. When the tremors came early in the morning, the family was sleeping. Alma's father saw the seawater recede. He understood that the water would come rushing back with great force. He woke everyone up and tried to rush them to a safer place. Now, when there was an earthquake, Alma's father woke up and he saw that the water from the coast was moving towards the center of the sea. He understood that this water will come towards the coast back with a very great force, and this might cost their life. So he tried to wake everyone up and move towards a safer place so that they can save their life. As they ran, her grandfather was hit on the head by something and he fell down. Her father rushed to help him. Then came the first giant wave that swept both of them away. When Alma's family was running towards a safer place, at the same time, Alma's grandfather was hit on the head with something. He fell on the ground. Alma's father tried to run back and save Alma's grandfather, but at the same time, the first giant tsunami wave came and they both were swept away in this wave. Alma's mother and aunts stood clinging to the leaves of a coconut tree, calling out to her. A wave uprooted the tree and they too were washed away. When the first giant tsunami wave came, Alma's mother and her aunt caught hold of the leaves of coconut tree to save themselves. They started calling Alma's name, but this giant tsunami wave broke this tree from the ground, and both of them, Alma's mother and her aunt, were washed away in this wave. Almaz saw a log of wood floating. She climbed onto it. Then she fainted. When she woke up, she was in a hospital in Camorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. The little girl does not want to talk about the incident with anyone. She is still traumatized. When Almaz was washed away in these tsunami waves, she saw a huge piece of wood floating on the water. She climbed on it, and after that, she was fainted. She was unconscious. When she woke up, she saw that she was in a hospital of Camorta. From there, she was brought to Port Blair. This little girl is so shocked of this disaster that she does not want to talk about this incident to anyone. Telly Smith, a British schoolgirl, was able to save many lives when the tsunami struck Phuket Beach in Thailand. Though she has won a number of awards, her parents have not allowed their daughter to be interviewed on television and made into a heroine. Why do you think they took that decision? Telly Smith is a young British schoolgirl who saved many people's lives when tsunami struck Phuket Beach in Thailand. Now, she has won many awards, but her parents does not want her to come on the television and to be made heroine. Now, a question is asked to you students, why did Telly's parents took this decision of Telly not being interviewed on televisions? The Smith family from South East England were celebrating Christmas at a beach resort in southern Thailand. Telly Smith was a 13 years old schoolgirl. Her sister was 7 years old. The parents were Penny and Colin Smith. Now, this is the incident about Telly Smith and her family. Telly Smith is a 13 years old kid who used to study in British school. Her sister is 7 years old and her parents' names are Penny Smith and Colin Smith. It was 26 December 2004. Deadly tsunami waves were already on their way. They had been triggered by a massive earthquake off northern Sumatra earlier that morning. It was the same day when the tsunami hit southern parts of India. Telly and her family were enjoying Christmas on the Thailand beach. The tsunami waves were coming towards them. The tsunami was caused due to the earthquake in the northern Sumatra. The water was swirling and kept coming in. Penny Smith remembered. The beach was getting smaller and smaller. I didn't know what was happening. But Telly Smith sensed that something was wrong. Her mind kept going back to a geography lesson she had taken in England just 2 weeks before she flew out to Thailand with her family. When the tsunami waves were moving towards the Phuket beach, Telly Smith sensed that there was something wrong in this because the beach was getting smaller and smaller. The water was filled up on the beach. Her mind went towards the geography lesson which was taken by her in England just before 2 weeks she came to Phuket. Telly saw the sea slowly rise and start to form bubble and form whirlpools. She remembered that she had seen this in a class in a video of tsunami that had hit the Hawaiian Islands in 1946. Now, when bubbles were formed in the seawater and the movement of the seawater was like a whirlpool, that means the movement of the seawater was in circles. She remembered a video in which the seawater was behaving in the same way. This video was about the tsunami that hit the Hawaiian Islands in 1946. Her geography teacher had shown her class this video and told them that tsunami can be caused by earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides. Telly knew about tsunami from before because she had seen a video about tsunami in her geography class. This video was shown by her geography teacher to the whole class and told them the information about tsunami. She even informed that these tsunamis are caused due to earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides. Telly started to scream at her family to get out of the beach. She talked about an earthquake under the sea. She got more and more hysterical, said her mother, Penny. I don't know what a tsunami was, but seeing my daughter so frightened, I thought something serious must be going on. When Telly saw the sea behaving this way, she somehow understood that something like tsunami may occur. She started shouting at everyone to move towards a safer place. She got more and more hysterical. That means she laughed, cried, and behaved in a strange way at the same particular time. Her mother says this. She got so frightened. Now, her mother says that she didn't know what tsunami was, but when she saw her daughter so scared, she understood that something wrong might happen at this beach. Telly's parents took her and her sister away from the beach to the swimming pool at the hotel. A number of other tourists also left the beach with them. Then it was as if the entire sea had come out after them. I was screaming, Run! When Telly's parents saw Telly behave this way, they took her and her sister to the hotel where there was a swimming pool, and other tourists around her even left the beach looking at them. Now, when they saw that the sea waves were moving in a fast speed towards them, they started screaming to run and move to a safer place. The family took refuge in the third floor of the hotel. The building withstood the surge of three tsunami waves. If they had stayed on the beach, they would not have been alive. When Telly's family saw the tsunami waves coming towards them, they got scared, shouted, and ran towards the higher part of the building. They went to the third floor of the hotel to protect themselves from tsunami. If they stayed at the beach at the time of the tsunami, they would have died till now. The Smiths later met other tourists who had lost entire families. Thanks to Telly and her geography lesson, they had been forewarned. Telly went back to her school in England and told her classmates her terrifying tale. Telly's family met the other tourists who were at that place at the time of tsunami who had lost many family members. It was all because of Telly and her geography lesson that many lives were saved. Telly went to England and told her classmates about this incident. Before the giant waves slammed into the coast in India and Sri Lanka, wild and domestic animals seemed to know what was about to happen. They fled to safety. According to witness accounts, elephants screamed and ran for higher ground. Dogs refused to go outdoors. Flamingos abandoned their low-lying breeding areas, and zoo animals rushed into their shelter and could not be enticed to come back out. Before the tsunami waves hit the coast of India and Sri Lanka, it was seen that the wild and domestic animals somehow knew that something wrong was going to happen. So, to protect themselves from this disaster, they ran towards the higher places and saved themselves. And it was even noticed that the elephants started screaming and running towards the higher places to save itself. Dogs refused to come out of their houses for the walks, and the birds that were the flamingos left their places, the ground places, and they moved towards the higher places upon the trees and they flew away to different areas. And even the zoo animals, they went inside their shelters from the open ground and they tried to save themselves. And it was difficult to bring them out from those shelters towards the open grounds. Many people believe that animals possess a sixth sense and know when the earth is going to shake. Some experts believe that animals' more acute hearing helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration. They can sense an approaching disaster long before humans realize what's going on. Some people say that the animals have the sixth sense, from which they can sense any natural disaster before it occurs. And even some experts say that the intense hearing of these animals helps them to hear or feel the earth's vibration, through which they can sense the upcoming disasters and they rescue themselves from these disasters. So, animals sense this approaching disaster very long before humans even realize what is going on. We cannot be sure whether animals have a sixth sense or not, but the fact is that the giant waves that rolled through the Indian Ocean killed more than 150,000 people in a dozen countries, but not many animals have been reported dead. It is difficult to say whether animals have sixth sense or not, but the tsunami which occurred killed more than 150,000 people in many countries, but not many animals were found dead in this disaster. Along India's Kudlar coast, where thousands of people perished, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. In the Kudlar coast of India, there were thousands of people dead, but at the same place, buffaloes, goats, and dogs were found unharmed. None of the animals were found dead there. The Yala National Park in Sri Lanka is home to a variety of animals, including elephants, leopards, and 130 species of birds. 60 visitors were washed away from the Patanangala beach inside the park, but no animal carcasses were found except two water buffaloes. There resides thousands of animals in the Yala National Park of Sri Lanka. There includes elephants, leopards, and many species of birds, around 130 species. But the 60 visitors who came to see this national park were all swept away in these waves of the tsunami. But none of the animals were found dead in this disaster. Only two water buffaloes' bodies were found. About an hour before the tsunami hit, people at Yala National Park had observed three elephants running away from the Patanangala beach. Now, before the tsunami waves hit the Yala National Park of Sri Lanka, it was observed that there were three animals who were running away from the beach of Patanangala to save themselves from this disaster. A Sri Lankan gentleman who lives on the coast near Gale said his two dogs would not go for their daily run on the beach. They are usually excited to go on this outing, he said, but on that day they refused to go and most probably saved his life. There lives a gentleman at the coast in Sri Lanka near Gale. He says that he has two dogs who goes to a daily walk. So, on the day of tsunami, these two dogs refused to go out of this house. Normally, These dogs are excited to go out for this walk, but that day they refused and stayed at the home, and this is because this gentleman's life was saved.
So, students, this was all about the lesson, the tsunami. We'll begin with the next lesson in the next video. I'll be sending you the PDF of the worksheets. You will have to maintain those worksheets, the exercise, in your classwork. Thank you and have a blessed day.